think that they're only working for December. The same mentality that we had in high school, that you only prepare for qualifiers for nationals. Yes, you only prepare for nationals. And when it's done, second term, no sports, third term, no sports. That's the environment I came from. I don't know if it was different in your years.
It was the same thing.
Yeah. So now for university sports, we see that nearly it's the same thing. Because right now, right now they're preparing for nationals. Yeah, the league aside, they're preparing for nationals. And then after that, the following end of the following year, they're preparing for East African Games. I think that. So there is a lag in between that time. So a student who is not playing on the university team at the club level has nothing pushing them to work at that time, because they feel like they have a whole 9 months to work. And you know, when you have a lot of time in your hands, you might think it's too much until it's actually too late. So that is the other thing that is also making it very hard for the game to develop very fast. The tournaments are very limited. There are very few. I mean, if you have only one tournament in a year, that means you're telling these guys to begin training like 2 months to the tournament. But if they had more than that, I believe the talent would improve faster, because these guys would actually work even more. And you very well know that most of the universities right now, if you are to have players who are to make the university team look good, you will not pick the junior players who are there. You'll want to look for the most experienced, even the alumni if there is need, so that you don't get relegated, because that's also, you know, we also don't want to look bad. Coaches don't want to look bad. So they also want to survive, so they end up looking for those who already know. Because even when they're picking players from high school, they're also picking those who already know. And that's why you see that institutions that who have their teams that are doing much better, for them they get players straight from high school and they pick the best in terms of scholarships and sponsorship and all those other things. But which is also there in Makerere, although it's limited, I think, because I don't know much about it. I still don't have that much information about how the scholarship works. But we could also see it even that in high schools, the same issue is happening. The basketball in high school is now being dominated by, those days it was dominated by a few schools, because those few schools had the players and had the heart and they would work out. But right now it's dominated by a few schools, because those are the schools that put in the money, they give in the scholarships. I think the same thing applies to the universities. Those who put in more have better players and players who are more committed to the work. Now, those who put in less, generally all universities, those who put in less, you find them struggling, because we are convincing players to come and play, and then they are going to leave at coach. I'm commuting, I have to go home early. Now, they are leaving their classes maybe at 4:30, and then practice starts at 5, and then at 6:30 they have to go. Now they have to compete with a student who has his time there. He knows after my training here, I'm just sleeping next here. I have my supper well prepared, no matter how late I leave. Even tomorrow I can come in the morning and I shoot, because I know I'll go back to where I sleep and I have breakfast. I think that's also another reason why basketball is being dominated by also a few universities. Because in my opinion, our basketball has been dominated by majorly UCU and Ndeje, because Ndeje is doing very well, Then the rest of the universities, especially the traditional universities like Makerere, Chambogo, Mbarara University, we seem to be struggling in those fields. And I would think that maybe it's because the other people are putting a lot of effort in that compared to us. That's my opinion, that's what I think. And it's making the whole thing look like, you know, it's going down. But it's a big challenge, which I don't know how we are going to go about it, because this is something that requires the management of the institutions, surely, Because me as a coach, no matter how much love I have for the game, there is no, I'm going to tell them, you know what, I can make these guys champions, put in the money or do ABCD. They will tell me, but this is how the process works, and I cannot change that. So actually, my option right now as a coach, because I'm in the position, and I'm not going to sit down and I'm like, the system is hard, so let us struggle, because we have been struggling. Me as a coach, what I think my best option is that, which is also a principle, is don't fight the system or don't try to change the system. Just find how it works and see how you can work best with it. That is something I heard from gentleman called Jim Rohn, if you watch those guys. So I am not going to fight the system, but I am looking for a way that I can use the system the way it is to bring positive results. So I put in extra time, I talk to these people, I give them reports as much as possible so that they know that something is going on. Because one thing I believe in is that if you're doing something good, you'll be appreciated.
True.
Yeah, and if you want something to be done, show them that you can handle it. Let them only come to support you, not them initiating the process. And that is one of the things that drives me. And people even ask me, but how comes for you? You're always there. Who pays you? Where do you get the money? They even tell you Makerere doesn't pay, but that is their opinion. Because when you're given a job somewhere, sure, that means they're supposed to pay you. But if they say Makerere doesn't pay, Makerere doesn't give money, maybe that is their experience. I don't know. Maybe if I experience it, I'll come back and tell you. But for now, I can't say that. For now, I believe that the resources might be limited, but the basketball court is there, the basketballs are there, the players are there. I think I also have a big role in motivating my players and talking to them and convincing them. That is what I'm doing right now. And I believe it's going to take me quite some time to produce the team I would want to see. Because now I am trying to see how I can work within the system the way it is. So it's going to take me time, because now that means I have to nurture junior players who are just coming in, which has not been the case, and it's not the case with other universities. Other universities get players whom they know are going to actually do the job. Now for us to get players, we get people who know how to play the game, not players. We get people who know how to play the game, and then we convince them to come and play for the university. Are you seeing how that is different? So by the time you convince someone, then they show up, and then you're telling them that we can't pay you, and the other side they are being paid. It makes things very hard, because Makerere, I'm sure Makerere has students who are actually players in other clubs. Are you seeing that? But even them coming back to play for the university, they'll ask you, what are you offering? Are you giving us transport? Are you giving us this? If it's there, which sometimes it's there, if it's there, they are willing to come. But if it's not there, you are going to, try and convince them. And of which, if you convince them and they said no, surely you wouldn't force them, because they will tell you, but the situation is hard, and you're also seeing it's hard, so you wouldn't push so hard. But once in a while, we convince them and they come around, and we also want them to inspire the new ones. But the best option for us right now is to build those who are around. So for a university like Makerere to reach the level of UCU and DJ, it's going to be a long process, of which some people are not going to be patient enough to see that happen. Others don't even believe it can happen. I see that. But personally, I think that is what can work for me. I believe that is what can make us look different. And for the other universities, I don't know what their coaches and the administration plans to do and what. But for me on my side, and generally university sports, I think that's what I've given you, what makes us look like we are falling down, but I've also shown you how we plan to move up.
I was actually going to ask you how we can get up. We're going to take another break right now. I like what you're saying about university sports and the perspective of why it's going down and how it can be rebuilt. Well, for our viewers out there, this is House of Talent Television, the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk. Remember, we're on our socials and you can hit us up, drop us a message in our inbox, in our comment section. Let us know what you love about the show. If you have a question for OJ here, let us know, we'll ask him. But we'll take a break right now. We'll be right back. This is the Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television.
A lot has been happening in the game of basketball. First of all, as Slam Dunk Basketball, we would like to first thank the Silverbacks for doing the nation proud and for making it to the first time in the quarterfinals of the Afro Basketball Championship down in Kigali. It was a tough task, and history was made when the Silverbacks, our boys, were able to beat on Nigeria.
Welcome back to Slam Dunk Basketball Talk on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng, and with me in the studio today is Osiko Jacob, aka OJ, better known as OJ on pool court, actually, you know, where we do pick up sometimes in the evening. And OJ has been taking us through his story, basically where he started from, how he ended up as the coach for the Makerere Sparks, that's the university team at Makerere. And he also told us about the status of sports, especially basketball in the universities, why it seems like it's on the decline, and what are some of the things that can be done to raise it back to the level where it's supposed to be. And having young people like this in those positions of coaching is a very good thing. So if you're out there, you're a young coach, you're a young player, and you want to get involved into the game of basketball and put it back to the level where it's supposed to be and take it higher, this is your opportunity. We're hearing very wise words coming in from the coach here. And I just want to backtrack a bit, back to that story you told us about being in school and, you know, not being allowed to play on the team, because I know that in most high schools actually there is always that divide between the guys in the higher classes and the guys in the lower classes.
Your elders.
Yeah, your elders. In some schools they actually say those two don't mix. They're like volatile, you know, chemicals. And you were telling us a story about how you were not actually allowed to get onto the basketball court, you know. And how did that feel? And what lessons can some of these kids pick up from it? Because I know that there are certain kids in primary school, even at the university level, who want to play, but they look at you guys now, the elders, and they're like, how do we get into, you know, this part? So just take us through that situation you went through, and, you know, some of the lessons that these kids can learn and how they can be encouraged to get into the game of basketball.
Okay, thank you. Yes, with that, flashing back to my time in high school, because that's where things were hardest. You know, the start is always the hardest part. As I told you, for me, I came from a primary school where basketball was not known as a sport. My primary school had a secondary section that had a basketball court, but we used not even cross there, so I really had no idea. I first saw basketball when I went to KPC. That was in my vacation of P7. That was in end of 2007. But when I was at Namilyango, I was with classmates who had come from primary schools that had the background. Was height. For them, they had the skill. And you see, when you're at that level, it doesn't look like height works. It looks like it's the skill that counts. And they didn't see the skill in me. So actually, these guys are my good friends, but I'm sure they also did it unknowingly, having been senior ones. But they never gave me the chance to. I felt very disappointed one time when these guys were told, "Hey, the junior team make a squad that is going to play." We're actually going to SMAC. That is Chisubi. We're going to SMAC, and they were saying, "Hey, you guys make a team." In my head, I knew I am going, and you know, as I told you, going out was the most interesting thing when we were in high school. So I was in senior 2, and it was the first time. You know, for us in Namilyango, it's rugby players who used to go out so oftenly. Basketballers, your opportunity would come once in a while. So the time had come where I was sure now I am going on merit. Little did I know that my friends on the other side are like, that tall guy cannot make it. So we prepare that weekend. I don't check the list assuming that I am going. I don't check. The following morning, I go to the dining hall. That was a Saturday morning, to see the list of those who are going, and my name is not there. I was heartbroken. I even actually, with all the anger, I still went to the bus with the hope that I would enter. I stood there. I saw them enter, and I saw them leave. I was in senior town. And in my head, I was like, you know what? You guys have done this to me, but one day I'll be the one writing your names on that list. So after that, actually I remember that day I went back to play, because I enjoyed the game actually. Other than just going out, I enjoyed the throwing in, and it was actually my shooting started. I think that's the talent in me. The talent is just shooting. The other part of the dribbling, I think I don't have that. Yeah. But I enjoy just throwing that ball and it would just go in like automatically, and everyone would be wowed by that. They would see me and they're like, that guy can actually do it. Yeah. But my teammates actually knew this guy can't bounce the ball, he can't dribble, and we need someone who can dribble. They didn't really think they needed someone who could do what I was doing. Yeah. But then I also realized that that is the advantage they had over me. That is the skill they had come with from primary school that I didn't have. So I began working out on my own. I put in more effort. Unknowingly, out of, I don't know whether it was anger or excitement, but unknowingly, I put in a lot of effort in basketball when I was in high school. Even with the challenges that come with, high school, you don't have that much time. At a school like Namilyango, when it's time for this, all of you go and do that. When it's time for the other, but all my free time, I would put it into basketball. So I learned the game, and these guys began accepting me. Each time they realize that when they're playing with me, I make the shots and the shots drop, and it's the shots that makes their team go out. They were like, I think we need this guy here to stay. So that's how my fellow junior players in high school by then allowed me into the circle of basketball. And because of my work ethics, in a year, the following year, I was one of their best. And I was more like their captain. And before I knew it, my senior 4, I was the captain of the school team until I left. So that's how I broke through in that field. But then I had another challenge of my parents, my guardians for this matter. They never wanted me to play basketball. And the reason, having been